Right, so we're going from the Pilbara down to Kalgoorlie, both in Western Australia. But next up, we have Marc Ducler, and he is the Managing Director of Anglo Australian. They have the Mandilla Gold project. It's a significant gold discovery. It's quite exciting, lots of changes in the company, but right on the doorstep of Kalgoorlie, which is just a great environment for gold. Sit back, take a listen, take some notes, and please welcome a virtual welcome to Marc Ducler.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks very much for the opportunity and good afternoon. Really appreciate the opportunity to be speaking in front of this virtual gold audience. So today I would like to introduce Anglo Australian Resources and our Mandilla Gold project. As Kerry alluded to, this is a significant discovery and it is right on the doorstep of Kalgoorlie. Okay, so Anglo Australian has certainly been around for quite some time. However, the bedrock mineralisation that we've discovered at Mandilla is very much a new story, and it is this new story that is revitalising our company. Late last year, there was a dispute between board members and shareholders as to how to take the company forward and how to take the Mandilla Gold project forward. The interesting thing is these disputing shareholders and board members all wanted the best outcome for Anglo. What ended up being in dispute was how to get that moving forward. The dispute was eventually settled with the appointment of a new management team. That's the ex-Egan Street Resources management team, and we joined the company January of this year. So the Egan Street management team, we successfully took our Rothsay Gold project from an exploration stage project through all the feasibility study phases to a fully permitted mine up until the successful takeover of Egan Street by Silver Lake Resources. So we have the skill set to take Mandilla to a shovel-ready status and into production. When we joined in January of this year, the company's finances were certainly less than ideal. What we did in late January is we raised $500,000. That was effectively to keep the lights on for the company. We then put out a notice of meeting so that we could refresh the placement capacity for the company. The shareholders strongly supported that. We held our meeting in late February of this year. As soon as that meeting was held, we then raised $5.3 million in early March. Like with a lot of timings, they tend to be less than ideal. We end up raising our $5.3 million just as the whole COVID pandemic started to unwind. We were fortunate that we had some really strong support with both existing shareholders from Anglo and new shareholders that came on because of the management team. These were ex-Egan Street shareholders. So today we find ourselves really well capitalised with over $3.4 million in the bank. That's certainly sufficient for us to complete the diamond and RC programs that are underway, put out a maiden resource estimate for later this calendar year, and then also to commence a lot of the study phases that you need to do so you can publish those feasibility studies. That includes flora, fauna, metallurgical, geotechnical, and hydrogeological studies. All of that is well funded for us to continue going forward. Now, when this new key management team joined Anglo, we joined for the Mandilla project, and we joined for three reasons. We love the geography, we love the geology, and we really like the potential scale that Mandilla provided. So if we just talk about the geography for a little while, Mandilla is just outside Kalgoorlie. It's on sealed access roads, and we are surrounded by over 8 million tonne per annum of processing plant infrastructure. So if I just take you through that processing plant infrastructure that you can see on the map here on the image, you've got St Ives, which is a 4.7 million tonne per annum processing plant. That's owned by Goldfields. They're the 8th largest gold producer on the planet. You've got Higginsville, which is owned by Karora. They are a TSX listed gold producer. They have 1.3 million tonnes per annum of capacity, literally only 45 kilometres south of Mandilla. Again, all on sealed roads. South Kalgoorlie is owned by Northern Star. They have 1.2 million tonne per annum of capacity. And finally, you've got the Greenfields mill, which is actually a toll treating mill, which is owned by FMR Investments in Kalgoorlie. So effectively 45 kilometres north of us. So we're in a good location and we're on granted mining tenements. The other aspect about Mandilla, which we really liked, was the geology. So in the image that's left of screen there's a big pink intrusion. So that's effectively the Mandilla syenite. It's a granitic intrusion. what runs to the east of that is a shear called the Zalukis Shear. Now that Zalukis Shear hosts some major deposits to the north. It hosts Kundana and it hosts Froglegs. Now, we believe that there's a major splay that runs off that Zalukis Shear, and that's run along the western boundary of the Mandilla Syenite. So let me just bring up the laser pointer there. So effectively, the shear is run along the western boundary of the Mandilla Syenite, and we believe that is what's introduced the mineralizing fluids. So it's actually demagnetized certain zones of that granite. It's introduced quartz veining, sulfide mineralization, and gold mineralization. So just moving on to a little bit of history here. As I said, Anglo's been around for a long time, and the Mandilla project has actually been within the company for a long time. Purchased back in 2003, and we actually bought it off Goldfields. The reason Anglo wanted that asset back then was to mine the paleo channels, which they did successfully do. They actually mined 23,000 ounces of gold at a grade of 7.5 grams per tonne. So this was a high grade, shallow paleo channel deposit that was successfully mined. It also reconciled at 130% of the reserve grade. So it was a really good little deposit for Anglo. The money that Anglo made out of that project, they then went and spent on the rest of their portfolio. And effectively, Mandilla lay dormant from 2006-07 to when we actually started drilling the bedrock mineralization at Mandilla, which started in March 2019 and first results published July of 2019. So this is absolutely a new discovery. It's also a new discovery that has potential significant scale. What you can actually see in this image to the right is the peak downhole gold values across our tenements. You can see our tenements there. They all sit within the tenement boundaries. We have a 4 kilometre long gold and regolith anomaly here. Now, inside that gold and regolith anomaly, you can see this little green outline. So prior to the new management team's involvement in Mandilla, there was a resource geologist that was employed just to get an understanding of the mineralization that had already been delineated. So we did some wireframing, calculated some volumes and some grades. It doesn't meet the JORC compliance, so it's not a number I can actually talk about here to this audience. But the key thing is it's a 0.5 kilometre long strike, and it sits within a much broader 4 kilometre long gold and regolith anomaly. Now, since we've been drilling this year, we've now more than doubled that Mandilla East outline. So it's over 1 kilometre worth of bedrock mineralisation at Mandilla East. And we've also added 0.5 kilometre of bedrock mineralisation at Mandilla South. So over 1.5 k's worth of bedrock mineralisation here at Mandilla now. The system remains open along strike, and the diamond drilling that we've been doing recently is demonstrating that it is certainly open at depth. So now we'll just focus in on Mandilla East. There's 1 kilometre worth of bedrock mineralisation here. In June, we effectively doubled that 0.5 kilometre long anomaly with the RC results that we put out. That was on the 19th of June. We recently put out the first 4 diamond holes. So there's a 13-hole diamond program for 3,600 metres. The first 4 holes were released on the 11th of August. You can see a couple of the significant results there on screen: 76 metres at 1.2, 13 metres at 7 grams per tonne. Some of the previous RC results included 26 metres at 8, 38 metres at 5, 27 metres at 8.5, 21 metres at 4.5. So this is wide, high-grade mineralisation. MDRC 191, this drill hole here where the pointer is, this thing was still intersecting visible gold at 410 metres down hole. So our deepest intersection by a long, long way. Now, if we just step out from Mandilla East, looking at this detailed magnetic image, you can see Mandilla East and Mandilla South. The mag image reveals to us a number of potential targets for how we can continue to grow both Mandilla East and Mandilla South. The magnetic lows that we are seeing here that we can link to some structures certainly appear to host mineralisation. So we do actually have an effective targeting methodology for the upcoming RC program. We successfully used this methodology to extend the mineralisation both north and south on Mandilla East, and also for the southeast extension. So we use these magnetic characteristics successfully to extend the deposit already. Additionally, when we look all the way down at Mandilla South, we're now another 1 kilometre further south. Here we look at that magnetic setting and we absolutely believe that Mandilla South has the potential to host Mandilla East scale mineralisation. It's lightly drilled and there's a lot more for us to discover there at Mandilla South. So I'll just move on to 3 cross sections. Those cross sections have actually, the location of these cross sections have been highlighted on the 2 magnetic images that I've just gone through. So the first section, section 1, so this is in Mandilla East. This section here is effectively highlighting MDRCD 147. So that's a diamond intersection. Here we were looking to test the mineralisation down to a vertical depth of 200 metres. We intersected 8 metres at 8 grams and 24 metres at 2, and the mineralisation remained open at 230 metres worth of vertical depth. So it was a successful hole. Furthermore, the diamond drilling that we're doing now will actually test along strike both north and south of this section down to a depth of 200 metres. And this program, this 13 diamond hole program, which was completed late last week, visually is showing us that this thing is open down to a depth of 200 metres and beyond. Section 2, now we're actually on the southern extension of Mandilla East. There's 2 diamond holes that we've put on this section, MDRCD 191 and MDRCD 229. Both of those holes combined, there was over 21 occurrences of visible gold on these holes. So that's 670 metres worth of diamond drilling. And on 21 occasions, we saw visible gold. So in MDRCD 229, we saw visible gold from 140 metres downhole down to 350 metres downhole. And there was 11 occurrences there. On 191, from 272 metres to 411 metres, so a 140 metre long section, we saw 10 occurrences of visible gold. So this thing shows wide, broad zones of mineralisation. MDRCD 191, as I alluded to before, was still showing visible gold down to 410 metres downhole. So it's 350 metres worth of vertical depth being shown here on this section. We do still have a lot of work to do to understand what's controlling the mineralisation, and also just to confirm if there's any biases that are being introduced by the nugget effect, given the amount of visible gold that we're actually seeing in the core. Final section that I just want to cover off is Mandilla South. We actually the last hole of our diamond program was completed late last week, and that last hole was a hole here at Mandilla South. The drilling that you can see on this section is drilled from an azimuth of 220, so it's going from right of screen to left of screen. We're now actually drilling on an 040 ASI, so it's actually from top left to bottom right. With this hole, we actually intersected quite a wide quartz vein in the sediment zone with some visible gold, and then we hit the contact of the sediment and the granite, and then came into quite a wide zone of mineralisation in the granite, right on the contact. So this hole was only just completed late last week, yet to finish logging, cutting and submitting that hole for assay, but to date it's actually looking really exciting. A couple of things on Mandilla South. The mineralisation here is located deeper, so there's up to 50 metres worth of unconsolidated cover before we get into the actual bedrock mineralisation. But we're certainly seeing some pretty significant scale, long mineralised intersections, wide mineralisation and good grades. So Mandilla South will certainly be a focus of the RC drilling, which is to come. So in this area here, as I've already alluded to, we actually see significant potential scale to have Mandilla East size mineralisation here. It's early days, but as I've said, good strike extents, broad zones of mineralisation, and the right magnetic setting for further exploration success. So just to finish up, we've just finished the diamond program. 4 holes have been reported, another 7 holes to be reported in the coming weeks. RC drilling will commence on the 30th of August, so as soon as we can mobilise that RC rig. There's a 10,000 metre RC program which is commencing. So by mid-October, we would have done 23 kilometres worth of drilling all within 6 months. So we're certainly going hard at this Mandilla Gold project, and that's because we absolutely believe in it. We are located in a tier 1 area, 8 million tonnes per annum of gold processing infrastructure, all within 50 kilometres and all on sealed roads. The gold project, the Mandilla Gold project, is growing. There's over 1.5 kilometres worth of bedrock mineralisation identified. It is open both north and south, and the diamond drilling that we've just done is showing that this thing has some significant depth potential, down to 350 metres worth of vertical depth. Early interpretation of the mineralisation is showing that this thing will provide a very low strip ratio open pit. So this thing will be making money even as grades as low as a gram. Mandilla South remains largely untested. The detailed magnetics are giving us a setting that we really love to drill, and early results, certainly with this latest diamond hole in the RC before, are showing real potential scale. And just finally, just on the key management team, we actually have a very strong history of success. We successfully took Egan Street from exploration to fully permitted to a successful buyout where our shareholders made really good returns. We are absolutely motivated to take Mandilla one step further and get the Mandilla Gold project into production. Thanks, Kerry, and thanks very much for the audience.
Thank you, Mark. Goodness me, you've been getting on with it, haven't you? Let's. There's a couple of things I want to ask you. We've almost run out of time, but very quickly, you mentioned the Zuleika Shear. Now, I've heard some very interesting things about the Zuleika Shear hosting quite a lot of potential gold. Where does that fit into your project?
So that Zuleika Shear effectively runs to the east of our Mandilla syenite, and then there's a splay that runs off that, which we believe would just pump the fluids along the western margin of the Mandilla syenite. That's then gone into the granite. It's demagnetized zones of the granite, which then gives us the targeting tool and has brought in the mineralization. So it's introduced a stockwork of veining and deposited the gold. So it's, for us, it's the feeder zone.
So yeah, that Zuleika Shear, that's your feeder zone. And will you be focusing on that area in this new upcoming drill program?
Look, we'll be focusing on the western margin of the Mandilla syenite because that's where the solution, we believe, has been introduced. Mandilla South is giving us a few things to think about because we've now actually got quite an exciting zone of mineralisation in the sediment, which we just intersected last week. So as I said, yet to cut that core, yet to finish logging and submitting it, but visually it was a pretty good quartz vein to see, and that was in the sediment prior to us hitting the granite. So it maybe opens up a whole new structure for us to test as well at Mandilla South.
Very exciting times for Anglo Australian, and it sounds like you've got the right team in place. Lots of news coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark will be in the Zoom room later today at 5 o'clock. You can ask him questions then. But for now, we've run out of time. Marc Ducler, thanks so much for joining the Vertical Gold Conference today.
Cheers, thank you.